given out. So wait just a couple more minutes.
Hi everybody, my name is Shelley Scott. I'm the makeup artist that's going to be doing some Halloween makeup with you today. So we're going to do sort of kind of unisex for boys or girls, beginners to more advanced on my husband first, who's my willing model. There he is, Richard. And then we're going to be doing a Mexican Day of the Dead inspired makeup on my sister. So a couple of little things first, and this is just for anyone who's, you know, not used to using makeup or anything like that. Is that, you know, anything that you're going to put on your face, if you can, test it first in case you have any sort of reaction, especially with the kind of some of the Halloween type stuff that you can buy in the shops. And also anything that I'm about to do on poor Richard here, you know, if you end up copying it, you do so kind of at your own risk because some of it can be a little bit uncomfortable, the special effects stuff. In terms of like tools, I mean, if you've got absolutely nothing at all, no makeup, you know, you can buy these sorts of kids face painting kits from Amazon, really cheap. You can also buy, you know, you really only need one or two brushes if you're going to kind of do any face painting, but you can buy these sort of artists brush sets on Amazon as well, really cheaply, and they come in really handy. If you want to glue anything to your face, I'd recommend duo glue, which is just an eyelash glue. If you've ever worn false eyelashes, you can get it in Boots. It's a couple of pounds, and it's a safe glue that you can put on your face, although I wouldn't recommend doing it very often. And yeah, so just, and if you're doing makeup on other people, you know, make sure you kind of wash the brushes and sponges in between doing it on someone else, you know, keeping COVID safe. Sponge wise, if you've got, you know, any girls, an old beauty blender will do, but you can also buy you know, really cheap makeup sponges on Amazon as well. And so yeah, we'll get started. So Richard might look a bit strange right now. That's because we've already done a little bit on him already, which I'll explain in a moment. So he's just going to come and have a seat here. Okay, so he looks a bit odd because he's actually got toilet roll glued to his face right now. And it's just a really, I'm just going to move him over a little bit. It's just a really easy way of doing some kind of special effects type makeup. So all you need is some toilet roll. And if you get a couple of strips, and all you need to do first is kind of separate it into the ply sheets. So for instance, you just kind of pull it apart like that, so that you've got ripped it in half, you've got the thinner sheets. And then what you need to do is you get some of your eyelash duo glue that I mentioned before, pop it on the back of your hand, and then use the end of a brush rather than the actual bristles, because the glue is really hard to get off the bristles. So pop it on the back of your hand with the end of the brush, just kind of wipe it where you want to go. And then you're going to stick the toilet roll on and just smush it around. It doesn't need to be perfect. The whole idea of it is that you're going to create sort of a look of like texture on the skin. So the idea that we're doing with Richard is the kind of Joker's like slit mouth. That's what we're going to do on him just now. And I'll show you what you need to do afterwards. So once you've put the toilet paper on, you need to kind of let it dry for about 10-15 minutes. A good little trick is to just blast it with a hairdryer. Use a cold setting on the hairdryer though, because the hot setting will melt the glue. And yeah, and then once it's kind of dried transparent and it doesn't feel tacky to the touch, then you can start putting some makeup over it. So we're going to make Richard we're going to make him green, like a kind of Frankenstein-y type zombie version of the Joker, I guess. And to begin with, I'm just going to use some of these kids' face paints. So with the face paints, like I said, brush or a sponge. Just get it open here. And then you just need a little pot of water or a little spray bottle with some water on it, and just wet the face paint just a little bit, not too much. Otherwise, it'll just kind of run all down your face. And you're just going to mix it in. And then I'm going to apply this with a brush first and then go over it with a sponge. So I'm just going to make him green. And the good thing with Halloween makeup is you don't need to be too perfect or pristine. Does that tickle? All right. And while it's still wet, that's when you want to kind of go over it with a sponge, because it dries pretty quickly, the kids' face paint. And with the glue, whenever you're applying any glue and anything to your face, you just need to be aware that when you're removing it, it's really tempting to kind of pick it off, but please don't do that, because it'll rip your facial hair out, which can be pretty painful. So the best thing to do is kind of soak your face in warm water. If you've got like a cleanser, use that on it. And then really anything oil-based, you can use olive oil or something like that, and just rub it in and do it really gradually and kind of rub it off really gently. Don't pull it. So we're getting there. He's getting green. Give me your lips. And I think I can actually hear you. So if you've got any questions at any point, even if it's not Halloween makeup related, feel free to ask away. We're nearly done there. So I'm going to leave his eyes because I'm actually going to do them a different color in a minute. So hopefully, if you lean forward a bit, Richard, watch the light there, and just turn your face to the side, you can kind of see the texture that it creates on the face, the toilet roll. This is the worst bit. Right up your nose. And then just lift your chin for me. Just do a bit underneath. I mean, obviously, if you're doing it on someone else, you can do the whole neck if you want to, any bits of skin that are exposed. But just for speed, we're just going to do Richard's face. Okay. And your lips. Pout your lips for me. Part them so that that's it. I want to see any color. Okay. So the next thing that's just a really easy tip for any Halloween makeup, whether you're a zombie or a vampire or a skeleton or anything like that, is to use some shadow on your face to make you kind of look more sinister and ghoulish. So you will need some sort of brush for this. I'm going to use a particular makeup brush. You kind of want a brush that's dense rather than something really, really fluffy. And you could use black face paint or a grey or a black eyeshadow or even eyeliner to do this. But we're just going to create some sort of cheekbones. So you want to start from kind of the middle of your ear, just to this corner of your eye is where you kind of want your cheekbones to be. And just kind of keep rubbing it in, blending it in so that it doesn't just look like a perfect straight line. On the other side. Yeah. The other places you can put the sort of contour to make yourself look a bit more ghoulish is under the jawline. Does that tickle? Sorry.
Sorry.
So all around the jaw. And then, can you hold that for me? Up on the brow, just around the sort of edges of the face. Okay. And then the next place we're going to apply some of that darker makeup is around the eyes. And anything around the fluffier brush is good for this. We're not going to worry about it being too perfect because he is supposed to be a sort of zombie, freaky monster. Keep your eyes closed for me. I'm going to use a little bit of black face paint. Look up for me. Up with your eyes open. Look right up to the sky, ceiling rather. And close. Okay. And if you want to make your eyebrows disappear, I mean, I haven't bothered to do it on Richard, but if you were doing a look where you needed to have no eyebrows, a good little tip is to get some Pritt stick glue and just put it on in the direction, wet your hands first because it makes the glue easier to handle. Press it down in the direction of your eyebrows, so out the way. Wait for it to dry, add another layer of glue. Probably 2-3 layers should be enough so that all the hairs are really stuck down. And then pop a bit of a loose powder. So girls, if you've got like a translucent powder or even a bronzer, face powder, if you don't have any sort of makeup powder, you could use baby powder, just something that's going to set the glue, and then you can paint over it with either face paint or with foundation or any makeup, and that'll make you look like you've got no eyebrows whatsoever. I've just made my eyebrow a bit green there. Okay, so it's starting to look a bit more sinister now. If you make any mistakes, having some either little cotton pads or some Q-tips, some cotton buds, and you can put some moisturizer on them, or even some water if you're using face paints, or any sort of toner or micellar water. Dip your little cotton bud in that, and then you can clean up any mistakes that you've done. And whenever any makeup that you're using, whether it's cream or liquid, if you want it to stay on longer, you need to apply some sort of powder on top to set it. So like I said before, any sort of translucent powder or even baby powder if you don't have anything, that'll stop your face paint or your makeup, whatever it is, from rubbing off onto your clothes as much, and it'll also help it to stay on a bit longer. Okay, getting there. Right, so now I'm going to do it, try and make it look sort of like his mouth has been slit open. So if you're doing anything with blood, or you want it to a blood effect, obviously you can buy the fake blood in the little bottles from, you know, like Halloween shops on Amazon. But if you don't have any of that and you want to make your own, just find either a red lip gloss or get a bit of red lipstick and a butter knife and just scrape a bit of the red lipstick off into a bowl and add in some clear lip gloss, give it a mix up, and that can be fake blood as well. So I'm just neatening up a bit here. And then whenever you're creating a wound, so ideally having some sort of texture makes it look like it's been cut open, and then you want to create like a bruising effect. So to do that, you can mix a purple and a pink eyeshadow, or purple and a red eyeshadow, or you could use blushers. You could even use a purple and a red lipstick, any sort of makeup products, but those are the sorts of colors you want to mix together. So I've got myself another little fluffy brush, and I'm going to use a sort of dark pink and dark purple color. going to start putting that over the wound. Then you want something dark, so either a black or brown eyeliner pencil or a black or brown eyeliner gel or something like that. And that's going to create the illusion of a hole or a sort of slit. And it doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line. In fact, better if it's not. Relax your lips. And then you want to add some blood. So I'm just going to use a red lip gloss. Mm-hmm. And just smear, there's no technique to this, just smear it around either side of the wound. Okay, and then another one, just lean forward a bit so you can see it. Another one that you can do if you're doing like a skull or a zombie or a Day of the Dead look as well, is the sort of lines that look like their mouths being sewn shut or kind of stapled shut. So it's just a couple of lines. Across. If you've got a little, you'd need a little thin brush to do that. I'm using a little angled brush. Okay. Go. You're looking pretty creepy.
Good.
Another little trick if you want to create a wound somewhere, if you don't want to use toilet roll, is you can use a Pritt stick. And if you cut a little bit of the Pritt stick off the end, wet your hands, kind of roll it round until it kind of feels like a Play-Doh or something like that. And then just stick it wherever you want the wound to be. So for instance, on the eyebrow, stick it on give it a little bit of time to dry, blast it with a hairdryer, dust some powder over the top of it, and then cover it with either your foundation or whatever colour you're using on the face, and then add your black and your bruising and your blood like we did here, and that can create a little wound somewhere on the face as well if you want to do that. Another good one for vampires and zombies is on the eyebrows. So for some sinister looking kind of eyebrows, just put your face straight for me, is if you get some black and then a little mascara spoolie. You can also use this to create facial hair. So if you're a girl dressing up as a guy in some capacity and you want facial hair around, just get a mascara wand and dip it in some black or brown gel liner and just dab it around your face, and that can look like facial hair. Just giving him some sort of more evil looking eyebrows. Go. Blood splatter, if you want to create the effect of some blood splatter, so make your blood or with your fake blood, and then you need a brush that has some kind of stiff bristles, not a fluffy one, and you're going to get some of the liquid on your brush. Sorry, just getting some of my blood. Not my blood, but so again, I'm just using lip gloss. And you might want to make the mixture a little bit looser, add a little bit of water to it. Mix it up so you've got a good amount on the end of your brush. And then with your fingers, this could go really wrong here. You're just gonna, well, it's not wet enough. Just put your fingers kind of across the bristles and it should just spatter across. Oh, a little bit there. It's not really showing that much on camera, but that's essentially how you would do blood splatter. So that's pretty much Richard. Woohoo! Looking disgusting. And you know, I'm doing it all pretty quickly. If you're really, really into this, you'd spend more time, you know, blending it all and doing the neck and everything, spray painting your hair, whatever, things like that. But that gives you the kind of general idea. So that is for unisex. And now my other lovely model, my sister, is going to come in and we're going to do like a Day of the Dead Mexican look on her. Richard's off to cook dinner now. Great.
Yeah.
Right, can I help you up onto the chair? This is my sister Louise. Hi. And yes, we're going to do a Mexican Day of the Dead, and which normally for most of them, it's a completely white face, and then you decorate it. There's certain types of decorations that you tend to see on them a lot. On Louise today, just for something a bit different, instead of the white face, I'm going to do purple and yeah, you can either pick a couple of sort of theme colors, which is what I'm going to do just now. So I'm picking purple, turquoise and gold. Or with the Day of the Dead makeup, the beauty of it is that you can use all the colors of the rainbow, really. It's supposed to be really colorful. You can be really creative. You can buy things on Amazon or in any sort of craft shop. So you could use feathers, things from kids' craft kits are ideal, feathers, sequins, pressed flowers, jewels, anything like that. You could stick onto the face and use a little bit of eyelash glue to stick it on, and it'll make it all the more interesting. Okay, so we'll get started with Louise. Just wetting my sponges here. We're going to do a kind of lilac-y colour. And if you've got blue, green eyes, lilacs, purples, pinks, bronzes, browns are going to make your eyes your eye colour stand out more. For brown eyes, really it's any colour, but you know, reds, yellows, those sorts of colours will make your eye colour kind of pop out. Okay. So this is just a little single pot of a cream face paint. But again, if you, for instance, if you just had some eyeshadows, you could get a little butter knife, scrape some of your eyeshadow into a dish, and then mix it with, for instance, well, what you tend to use is mixing medium, which you can buy in any sort of, you can buy it in Boots on the, on some of the beauty counters. I think the NYX do one, if that's what it's called, NYX, forget. Or you could even just add a little bit of a lip gloss to it. It would be a bit sticky, but you just have to set it with a powder. Okay, you're starting to look like a blackberry or something, blueberry. Just turn your face a little bit for me. That's all right. Okay. Okay, I'd say you're purple enough now. All right, so traditionally with the Day of the Dead music, Day of the Dead makeup, one thing that you'll always see is the kind of round eyes. I'm just grabbing myself another colour. So yeah, they'll usually have the circle shape around the eyes. Don't worry about being able to do a perfect circle because you can easily neaten it up later on. And if you're doing this on someone else, wherever you're putting the makeup, ask them to look in the opposite direction. So if you're doing it underneath, ask them to look up. If you're doing it on this side, ask them to look to the other side, and it'll stop their eyes from watering. Go that way for me. Okay, so you've normally got circles like that. If you've made a mistake or you've kind of gone massively out, just get yourself another brush, a flat sort of concealer brush, or you could even just tidy it up with a little cotton bud. But if you've got a sort of concealer brush, and just dip this in your face color and just go around the edges. And that's a good tip for if you're doing lipstick and you kind of go out of your shape. Pop a bit of concealer on a concealer brush and you can tidy up the edges that way rather than trying to rub it off. Okay, so then after the circle, the other sort of shape that you tend to see is either kind of a little floral pattern around the circles or little triangles. So we're going to do a little kind of floral one, but this is where you can start to just add your own creative flair to it. If you're using other colors, you know, do glitter, anything like that. So I'm first of all going to add some turquoise. So again, I'm just using the thinnest brush I can find for doing any kind of more detailed stuff. Okay, now I'm going to add some glitter. Actually, I'm going to add my flower shape first and then put the glitter inside it. So to do the sort of flower shapes, you can either do triangles all the way around or just little semicircles. And, you know, if you wanted to be really creative and stuff, you could stick little sequins inside the semicircles or little jewels. I'm just going to turn Louise to the side. We'll show you close up when I've finished. There. Okay, got her circles looking a bit crazy. And while that's drying, I'm just going to add some actual eyeshadow, but you don't have to do this. But you will, ideally, you will need to add some sort of powder just to set it all. Close your eyes for me. So I'm just going to do purple. And like I said, if you you don't need the exact colour. If you've got baby powder or translucent powder, that'll work too. And I'm just going to add a slightly darker colour to the edges. I'm going to add some gold. So I'm just using a glitter liner, but you could use loose glitter and mix it with lip gloss or mixing medium. Or you can also buy the little pressed glitters really easily, and you just dab them on with your finger. Ideally have something wet underneath them, like a concealer or a face paint. it's just going to help them stick. So I'm just colouring in her little circles. And I'm just doing this as quickly as I can so that it's not too boring. This is the downside of sort of Zoom, because normally in beauty videos you could just edit this part out or speed through it. Just trying to face this out. Okay. And I'm just going to keep eyes down for me. Keep adding things, adding the colours in just to make it more interesting. That's the good thing with the Day of the Dead makeup, is that you can be a bit more creative with it. Add some more glitter. I mean, you can never have too much glitter, really. Okay, just lean it a bit closer. I'm going to make this a little bit, we're starting to get a bit dark here now. Crazy. So now I'm going to give Louise some false lashes, because when you've got this kind of this much makeup on your eyes, for girls anyway, your eyes start to look a bit lost. So I'm going to use the eyelash glue. Some little tips: when you first take your lashes out the box, you can cut them, trim them to size. So just sit them on your eye, and if they're too long, just trim a little bit from the ends, and so that they'll fit better. And then also, if you kind of bend them for a minute or two, just like that, they'll stick to your eye a bit better. Pop your glue, either put the glue straight on. I prefer to put a little dot of glue on my hand and then just dip the lashes the band in them. And then give it a minute or two to get tacky. And if you get the person that you're putting them on, if you're putting them on someone else, get them to look down, just with their eyes though. So look down. And just put them as close to the lash line as you can and keep looking down just for a minute or two. Just look straight ahead. There we go. In a minute, when they're dry, you can pop a bit of mascara on them and they'll kind of blend in with our real eyelashes more and put a little bit on the bottom as well. If you ask the person if their eyelashes kind of feel like they're sticking to the bottom, just wait till they're dry and then get a mascara wand, one that doesn't have mascara on it ideally, and you'll just be able to peel the lashes off so that they're not stuck together. Are yours sticking together a little bit?
No.
Okay. Cool. Look straight ahead. Go. Okay. And then the other thing, the whole point of with the Day of the Dead makeup is that you're trying to kind of look like a skull. So that's why you've got the circular kind of holes for the eyes. The next thing we're going to do is the sort of jawline and the mouth to make it look like a skull's. I'm just getting some more of the darker purple. And the kind of shape that you want to make is you come out from the mouth and go up towards the cheekbone. Out from the mouth and then up towards the cheekbone. And then what we're going to do is a little bit of sort of shading underneath that to kind of make it blend in a bit better. I'm just using a little sponge, but you can use a sponge or a fluffy brush. And you want to kind of, whatever you're doing, do it downwards so that you're keeping the kind of sharper line on top. And on the other side. And if you make any mistakes, you can go over it with your brush that has this colour on it. I'm just going to go over it with a little bit of eyeshadow as well. Just move this out for me. I'm just making the line less harsh so it looks more like a shadow. Yeah. And just close your lips for me. And then the same as we kind of did on Richard, that sort of sewn up mouth look. And then usually with the Day of the Dead, they also have some sort of decoration on the chin and something in the center of the forehead. So you can either draw something with you could draw something with an eyeliner pen or a lip liner pen. Quite often you see hearts, and I'll show you the shape that you usually see on the chin. You also have a skull type nose shape, which to do that, you kind of do the sides of each nostril. I'll just turn to the side. So you colour in the side of the nostril and all across the bottom of the nose. This is very tickly. And then you go up the nose with two sort of little points. Tip your head forward a little bit. That's the sort of skull nose shape. And then on the chin, you tend to see these sorts of, it's like a little cactus flower. And again, you could decorate that with kind of jewels or glitter. And then on the forehead, I've got a little heart from an arts and crafts set, which I'm going to glue to your head. And then again, you tend to see just little kind of swirly patterns all around, which you can just be creative with. So I'm going to do this sort of shape. And then just going to add some of the other colours I've used. Add in some more gold. Turn the side a little bit. The other side. Really, you could go on and on forever doing this, just adding different colours. It's up to you how far you take it, I guess. Yeah. And then I'm just going to pop a little wig on, but we're pretty much finished now. But just so you get the full effect. Oh, just smudged it a little bit there. Oh, we've got the giggles now. But there she is with her Mexican Day of the Dead makeup. You've never looked better, Louise. Just lean forward a little bit for me. I'll see if I can turn down the light so that you can see some of the details a bit better, a little bit. But I hope that's given you some general ideas for Halloween, and that you enjoy it. If you do any makeup looks, give me a tag on Instagram. It's Shelley Scott Makeup, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much. Thank you. I've never used Zoom before. I'm just